Episode 3 The Sultans of Melaka. When Palmaswara died, his son became the new king. The new ruler married a princess from Pasai, a Muslim kingdom in the north of Sumatra. He learned about Islam from his wife and became a Muslim, and in doing so took the name Melaka Iskandar Shah. Soon the Malakans followed their leader and became Muslims. The Muslim cloth traders from India liked to trade with fellow Muslims and had been trading with them in the Muslim kingdom of Pasai. But now they happily came to trade in Melaka, making Melaka richer. Like his father, Melaka Iskandar Shah was a good king. He made Melaka a beautiful place where people of different races lived peacefully. But he only ruled for 10 years before he died, making his son Sri Maharaja Muhammad Shah the next king. Why do all these sultans have such long and difficult to pronounce names? Sri Maharaja also ruled justly, but when he died, he left behind 2 sons who both
I just can't wait to be king.
Raja Ibrahim's mother was a princess from Sumatra, while Raja Qasim's mother was the daughter of a Tamil merchant. According to the Malay customs, the son of a royal wife becomes king. So Raja Ibrahim, who was still a boy, became the ruler of Melaka. And as per the Malay custom, he also took a new name. He went from Raja Ibrahim to Sri Palmaswara Divasha. Now that's a mouthful. But his older brother, Raja Qasim, was unhappy because he wanted to be king, so he made a plan to overthrow his brother.
There were only a few guards tonight,
Whispered Raja Qasim. The night was dark, and he could only see a few lights burning in the palace.
My men are ready,
Said Hamid, one of Raja Qasim's followers, as he held his spear.
We'll take over the palace and make you the new ruler of Melaka. Good. The people of Melaka don't want a boy sultan. They want a strong leader like me. Go now.
Hamid's men killed the 8 palace guards at the gate. Then they quietly entered the palace and surrounded it.
Attack!
Cried Hamid. 10 guards ran out of the palace with their weapons. The shouting and clashing of spears could be heard all throughout the palace. Men from both sides died. Which is why you don't yell out attack while you're attacking. Why not bang drums while you're at it? Sri Palmaswara Divasha, the boy sultan, woke up and quickly grabbed his kuvas. He leaped at the attackers and stabbed one of them in the stomach. Then Hamid rushed at the young ruler and stabbed him through the stomach.
Oh no! What have you done? You have killed my brother.
Cried Raja Qasim.
I had to kill him. Now that the sultan is dead, you can be our ruler.
Replied Hamid.
Allah, forgive me. I never meant for this to happen.
Yeah, you just meant to overthrow your brother because you thought he wasn't fit to be king instead of advising him. Which is a lot harder than murdering his guard, breaking into his palace, and killing him. Yep, we all know which one's easier. And so, after successfully settling his sibling rivalry, Raja Qasim became the new ruler of Melaka and took on the name Sultan Shah. A few years later, Sultan Muzaffar Shah, previously known as Raja Qasim, was having tea when one of the warriors' captains came to him and said,
There are hundreds of ships sailing towards Melaka. Where are these ships coming from?
Asked the Sultan, putting down his silver cup. Ooh, fancy.
They are from Siam, Your Majesty. They are coming to attack us.
Gee, no, I thought they were coming for a cup of tea in silver cups.
What should we do?
Asked the warrior. Get the silver cups.
Get our ships ready,
said Tun Perak.
We will sail to meet the Siamese fleet.
Turning to his sultan, he said,
We will use all our fighting ships, Your Majesty. Good, we must also make sure the people of Malacca are not afraid. I'll make sure of that, Your Majesty,
said Tun Zanil.
I'll make sure our warriors guard the streets so our people are not afraid. There'll be no trouble in Malacca. That's good to hear. Our people are lucky to have such a good Bandahara and a good Temenggung looking after our kingdom. But first we must fight off the Siamese, Your Majesty. I'll make sure our ships are well armed,
said Tun Perak. The next day, the ships from Malacca sailed to meet the Siamese fleet. When the Siamese fleet saw that the Moluccans had many ships, the Siamese turned their ships and ran away. It was a lucky thing for everyone that there was no battle and no one was killed. When Sultan Muzaffar Shah died, his son, Sultan Mansur Shah, became the new king.
Show us the map,
said Sultan Mansur Shah.
Here it is, Your Majesty,
said Tun Perak, the same Bandahara that served his father.
You are now the overlord of all the places I've circled on this map. Your empire is much bigger than your father's. Good,
said the Sultan. He then turned to his eldest son, Raja Muhammad.
So, what do you think of this? Malacca now protects all these places, and they have to pay Malacca tribute. They are your vassals, and you are their overlord. They must obey you.
Yeah, tell that to your great-great-great-grandfather.
And because of our empire, all these places now speak the Malay language. That's right,
said the Sultan.
The Malay language has become the language everyone uses for trading. You are learning fast.
The next day, Raja Muhammad was riding an elephant along the beach. He was feeling very proud because he knew that one day he would become the Sultan of Malacca. He glanced back and saw his friends and cousins were still following him. Then, as he rode beneath a couple of coconut trees, a rattan ball soared through the air and hit him on the head, and his headdress fell to the ground.
Who kicked that ball at me?
Yelled Raja Muhammad as he leaped off the elephant. The group of teenage boys stood in a small circle in the clearing, staring at him. They had been playing a Malay game. Then Raja Muhammad heard a giggle. He rushed forward and the boys backed away, and there with a big grin on his face was Tun Besar, Tun Perak, the Bandahara's son. Raja Muhammad and Tun Besar never liked each other.
Did you kick that ball at me?
Barked Raja Muhammad.
Yes.
Tun Besar laughed.
It was funny seeing your headdress fall off. You apologize now,
shouted Raja Muhammad.
No, my father is the Bandahara.
Then Raja Muhammad pulled out his kawes and stabbed Tun Besar. Wait! Stop the dramatic music! Did he just stab the boy because he knocked off his headdress? What were they thinking? Giving a child, an unreasonable child, a caress. I have no words.
Oh no,
whispered Raja Muhammad.
What have I done?
You killed a hormonal teenager for knocking your pretty hat off. Tun Besar was buried the next day. Raja Muhammad shivered in fear when he heard that his father wanted to see him. He was very ashamed of what he had done, so dragging his feet behind him, he went to the palace. He arrived at the great hall, guarded by 4 Malay warriors. His father sat sternly on the throne. Next to him were the Temenggung and the Bandahara, Tun Perak, whose eyes were red from crying, but now he glared at him with venom in his eyes.
You have done a terrible, terrible thing,
said the Sultan, shaking his head in despair.
I know,
said Raja Muhammad, staring at the marble floor.
I'm truly sorry.
Then he looked at Tun Perak.
I am sorry for killing your son. I lost my temper.
Lamest excuse of the century. Like imagine saying, I'm sorry I killed your son, but he knocked my headdress off. It got dirty. The Bandahara stayed silent.
We all know what happened. I've discussed it with all my high officers, and we've decided that you must be punished.
Why did that have to be decided? They should be deciding what kind of punishment he should get.
I will accept my punishment, Your Majesty,
he said, his voice trembling.
Tunpeva wants me to take your life. You killed his son, so you should die as well. But you are lucky because I made him understand that your death will not bring his son back.
Are you crazy? It's so that this crazy man can kill more people.
What will my punishment be, Your Majesty?
he said, and for the first time that day, he looked up at his father, his eyes filling with hope. The Sultan frowned, his eyes filled with sadness.
You will leave Melaka. You will go into exile. I'm sending you to Pahang. The people there need a sultan, and Melaka is too far away for me to rule over them properly. It is many a day's journey through the jungle. There is a port at Pahang where they do a lot of trading. You'll become their ruler. You can never return to Melaka.
It's the lightest and best punishment. He still gets to be a sultan,
Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you for sparing my life,
said Raja Muhammad. And with that, Raja Muhammad went to Pahang and became sultan. When Sultan Mansur Shah died, his younger son, Aladdin, became the new sultan. He was only 15 when he became sultan, but he was known for his bravery and used to disguise himself and go to the market to be with his people. Once he came across 5 thieves and tried to arrest them. He killed 3 of them in a fight, but 2 others escaped. Unluckily, Sultan Aladdin died when he was a young man. Some say he was poisoned. But when he died, his son, Sultan Mahmud Shah, took the throne. Sultan Mahmud Shah was always sick, so his chiefs had to look after him and his kingdom. The Sultan grew up to be a very weak and mean man. Now, if you're anything like me, you're like, so he killed him, then he died, his son had a son, and they are all named Shah. So, let me break it down for ya. After Maswawa died, his son, Mughal Iskandar Shah, became Sultan. His son, Sri Maharaja Muhammad Shah, became Sultan. When he died leaving behind 2 sons, Raja Ibrahim and Raja Qasim. And since Raja Ibrahim's mother was royalty, he became Sultan even though he was younger. But Raja Qasim killed his brother and took the crown for himself, and also took the name Sultan Muzaffar Shah. Then he died and his son, Sultan Mansur Shah, became the new Sultan. Sultan Mansur Shah's son, Raja Muhammad, was next in line to be Sultan. But then he killed Tunpeva, the Bendahara's son, because he knocked off his headdress. So he was exiled to Pahang and became the Sultan of Pahang. So when his father, Sultan Mansur Shah, passed away, he had to give the crown to Sultan Aladdin, who was only 15. Unfortunately, he died when he was a young man. Some say he was poisoned. So his son, Sultan Mahmud Shah, became Sultan. He was always sick, so his chiefs had to look after him and his kingdom. So he was spoiled to grow up to be a weak, mean, and cruel man. And that is the end of the Sultans of Melaka. Now please understand that I could not find the pictures of most of the sultans. So...
Bye.